This is All of It. I'm Allison Stewart, live from the WNYC studios in Soho. Thank you for sharing part of your day with us. I'm really grateful that you're here. On today's show, Sam Tuddy and Christiane Pitts are the stars of the Broadway musical Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York, and they will perform live in WNYC Studio 5. Plus, we'll continue our conversations with Oscar-nominated creatives who work behind the camera. Today, we'll speak with Autumn Durrell-Arkapaw, the cinematographer from Sinners. That's our plan, so let's get this started with the new film, Undercard. Actor and comedian Wanda Sykes makes her dramatic debut in a new film called Undercard. She plays Cheryl No Mercy Stewart, a former boxing champion and recovering alcoholic, who is seeking redemption by training the son she once abandoned. Set in the historic Northwest Miami neighborhood, Liberty City, Cheryl coaches at Baba T's boxing gym, and she does her best to care for her young daughter. She's struggling, though, to make ends meet, and after an eviction sets her back, she faces difficult choices in order to keep her daughter out of the foster care system. That includes coaching her 22-year-old son, Keith, a fighter with a promising career, but who still resents her and her past life. Undercard has been on the festival circuit and won several awards, including Best Narrative Feature. It is now being released in theaters this Friday. Actor and comedian Wanda Sykes is here with me to discuss. Hey, Wanda.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Allison?
I'm doing well. And also joining us is co-screenwriter and filmmaker Tamika Miller. Tamika, it's nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having us.
So, Tamika, you've described working on this film, Undercard, as a labor of love for over a decade.
Yes.
Let's roll back 10 years. What was the original idea?
Well, we have what we produce is the original idea.
Oh, great.
But Wanda said yes from the beginning all those years ago, and I'm grateful for that. And, it was, I'd always had Wanda in mind for this role, and even though she had not done drama before, I'd been a fan of Wanda for many years as a comedian. But I also was drawn to the fact that Wanda was a woman in the male-dominated field of comedy, and she had been slaying it for, 2 decades at that point. And it was that kind of vulnerability and fearlessness that I wanted in this role of Cheryl.
Yeah, Wanda, what caught you in the script? What caught your attention and made you say yes to this project?
It was well written. I love the story, and it was a bit daunting because, like Tamika said, I never played a drama before. And then to be, number one on the call sheet doing it, I'm like, oh boy, there was some hesitation. I even asked Tamika if Queen Latifah turned her down, and that's why it came to me. Uh, but after meeting Tamika and having several conversations about it, I felt like that I would be taken care of.
Hmm.
I was like, you know what, she's not gonna put me out there and it make me look bad or whatever. So yeah, it was just the comfortability and her uh her being so tenacious with, come on, you can do it. And um it just made me go, you know what, let's go for it. But then, it took us 10 years to get it done.
Tamika, this could be called it could be called a sports movie. It could be called a boxing movie. It could be a family drama. Why
Mhm.
did you feel like a sports drama, we'll call it a sports drama, felt like the right vehicle to tell the story, this more subtle story about an estranged mother and son?
Well, as a writer, I'm a director writer. As a writer, I love to tell stories where women, particularly women of color, are at the center of those stories as multidimensional and multi-layered characters. And there was a time in my life where I was a little obsessed with boxing as a workout. And it was really spending a lot of time in a boxing joint, if you will, that this story was born. I had not seen yet on film this particular story, which, about a woman boxing trainer training a man. And so boxing is the backdrop, but what's most important to me are these relationships and the idiosyncrasies that we tend to have and share in these one-on-one personal relationships. And so it was important to me that this mother-son themes, mother-daughter theme, this trainer-fighter theme sort of rang true and was really sort of at the forefront. And I just thought, use boxing as the backdrop.
Wanda, what's going on when we meet Cheryl No Mercy Stewart? What's going on in her life?
Oh wow. She's trying to be a good mom. She's trying to, eh, provide for not just herself, but for her daughter. And she's trying to stay sober, and she's working on this. She's doing the steps, and a lot of this, the steps, it's part of it is making amends. So she's also trying to do that with her son Keith.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting what Tamika, what you were saying earlier is about moms and their kids. They're sort of like you're training your kids for the fight of their life, even though you love them, but you are trying to train them, right?
Of course, of course. And we see in Undercard, Cheryl has this sort of second chance with her daughter, Mika, that she didn't have fully with her son, Keith. And she's really trying to reclaim her family, and she really wants a second chance with her son. And boxing is something Cheryl knows in and out, having been a former champion, and it's a way in, if you will, to her son.
We're talking to actor and comedian Wanda Sykes about starring as a former boxing champion and recovering alcoholic who helps her estranged son get his boxing career back on track. Sykes joins me alongside director Tamika Miller. They are here with me now to discuss their new film, Undercard, which enters theaters this Friday, February 22nd, 7th. Wanda, how much did you know about boxing?
I've been a fan of boxing, since I was a kid. I remember, listening to back then it was Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali
Mm-hmm.
fights on the radio, So I've always loved boxing, and then I grew up in the DMV area, so everything was about Sugar Ray Leonard, and from the Olympics, all So I just love the sport. So when after meeting with Tamika, and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. The first thing she said was, okay, meet me at Wild Card. She, I had to go meet her at a some very popular boxing gym in LA. So she threw me in the ring. Just yeah, that was day one. I mean, there
Girl,
was
get in
no
the ring. We're
deal.
going.
Yeah, there was no deal. There was nothing. I mean, yeah, so I just had to get comfortable being in that space, and I stayed with it, and I found a trainer, Cameron, and we worked out. I had to learn how to hold the mitts. I think because the big part of it is I had to be comfortable in that space. I didn't want to, think about lines and acting and not be feel, I have to be also thinking about the environment. And the environment had to be, like a second skin for me. So um yeah, and I love this so much that I'm still doing it. I mean, I'm still working out and boxing. That's my workout now.
Tamika, what is a technical element about the sport that surprised you that maybe you wouldn't have known before making this movie?
Well, I had a lot of experience because I was working out. I was boxing. I mean, I wasn't getting hit, but I had my own trainer at Wildcard Boxing Gym, and so I would go and several times a week and do 10 rounds of a mitt workout. And so I, like Wanda, I also watch boxing,
Mm.
and so I understood the sport. I was
Mhm.
able to write the boxing sequences because I know boxing so well. I
Ah.
know the combinations. So I didn't come to the script, or I didn't write the script uh, with boxing being foreign to me. It was something that I knew something about. And but again, more importantly, it was really about these characters and these themes that was really at the forefront for me. And boxing was really sort of secondary, but a powerful secondary, powerful character in itself that I could, tell this story through.
There's also some Liberty City history included in the film.
Yes.
For example, when she takes her son to the train near the ruins of an old hotel, let's take
Mm.
a listen. This is from Undercard.
I mean, yeah, it's a ruin now, but back then, this was the best black hotel in all of Florida. Ali was good enough to fight Miami Beach, but he wasn't good enough to stay there at night. So he and Aretha Franklin, Etta James, Sammy Davis Jr. stayed here. Joe Lewis, too.
Damn, all them legends?
Oh, boxing royalty been through Liberty City, right where you standing.
Tamika, why was it important to include aspects of the history of the location in this film?
It was very important. What many people don't know is what that setting was, what that location was really about is the historic Hampton House. And back in the 1950s and 60s, when there was Jim Crow and segregation, Black celebrities and activists and icons from Martin Luther King Jr. to Muhammad Ali to Nat King Cole, they could go and speak and perform on Miami Beach, but they couldn't actually stay there. So they would, venture back to Liberty City, predominantly Black neighborhood, and stay at the famous Hampton House. So that was sort of my homage to that historic place.
Wanda, how long did the shoot take?
Uh, was it 20 days?
Less than 30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was less than 30 days. We, I
So,
Yeah.
mean, we worked, we were moving, and our
hmm
crew was incredible. I mean, it was, I think it was like after the first day, and they kind of like saw like, oh, okay, we're really doing this, and everybody was just like moving. It was great.
Yeah.
Wanda, what did you like about independent filmmaking, making films quickly?
Um, it wasn't a lot of sitting around waiting. When you
Mm.
know you're on a tight schedule and tight budget, there's no room for being divas or attitudes or anything. Everybody was just really I think complimentary to each other and just getting it done. I love all the female energy on set, with Tamika at the lead and our cinematographer Anna, who just set up just some incredibly beautiful shots.
Mm.
Um, and the rest of the cast, everyone was so supportive, and I felt like they were, just cheering me on. It's whatever I needed for a scene or whatever. Everybody we all wanted this. We knew we had something special, and we all wanted it um, to be the best it could be.
Yeah, Tamika, what do you get creatively about shooting in the independent style?
Well, shooting an independent film, you don't have major studio monies,
Hmm.
but this is a story that I co-wrote. My writing partner, Anita Cal, and I really worked hard on writing a story, a script that was authentic, and the process of independent filmmaking is you get down and dirty. It's really a labor of love. This film has been and is, and I was very passionate about it, and I knew and know that it would resonate with people. I think everyone can see themselves somewhere in this film. Everyone. And that's motivation, that's determination. And I also love being able to empower people. You know, Wanda mentioned our cinematographer, Ana Amortegui, who is brilliant. She is a Latina woman, and having all these incredibly talented women, my production designer, woman, my costume designer, woman, my producers, women, is very, very powerful. And it definitely, I think, makes a difference in how a set is run, particularly on an independent film.
I'm speaking with actor Wanda Sykes and director Tamika Miller about their new film, Undercard. We'll have more after a quick break. This is all of it. You are listening to All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. We're talking to actor and comedian Wanda Sykes. It's her dramatic debut starring as a former boxing champion and recovering alcoholic who helps her estranged son get his boxing career back on track. Sykes has joined me alongside Tamika Miller. They are here with me now to discuss their new film, Undercard, which enters theaters this Friday, February 27th. Okay, Wanda, there is not a person who will not say Wanda Sykes isn't funny. You are so funny. You drop some truth bombs when you're funny. When you're thinking about drama and comedy, what do they have in common and what differentiates them?
I think comedy, well, the comedy that I enjoy doing and the comedy I think that resonates is when it's grounded in some, reality. And I think the comedy part is the joke, is the twist. So comedy is drama, but with the twist,
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like, yeah, at first reading the script, I was like, oh, I got a twist, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, we're not doing that. We're not making this a comedy. It's a drama. So it was just really just staying in the straight lines, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
the setup. Yeah, that's what it is. Drama is set up when the comedy is the punchline.
Tamika, Cheryl's ring persona is Cheryl No Mercy Stewart. Where does No
Mhm.
Mercy come from?
No Mercy was when Cheryl was a champion, that was her nickname. You know, she was really trying to come up out of her circumstances in Liberty City, and she was merciless. You know, she was really determined, and so she got the nickname No Mercy because she was so dominant in the ring as a boxer, and that's where it sprang from on the page. And then Wanda, you have a something to add to that as well, correct?
Well, as far as like the No Mercy,
Yeah, yeah.
the wait a minute, okay, I totally forgot
You
that
were
part.
talking
What?
the eloquent, yeah. But to answer your question, Al, that's really where it was born from. Just who Cheryl was as a character, as a boxer, just relentless and determined to win, and to fight. And she had many battles she was sort of facing in her life, outside the ring as well as inside the ring.
She has that big old tattoo on her shoulder, says No Mercy.
Yeah.
Cheryl, she experiences a historic making career, Wanda. It earns her a certain level of respect in the neighborhood, yet she's estranged from her son, Keith. What finally makes her willing to try again?
I think it's just necessity, um, and it's also part of her character. She's relentless, and that's what you have to be as a boxer. And I think that's a trait that just stayed with her. She doesn't give up. Now she might slip in the sobriety part. I think that's how she falls, but she gets up and goes right back at it. Um,
To me, it
so
was
yeah,
so hard. It's so hard at the beginning when
yeah,
she gets the joint. You're like,
right.
throw it away. Don't keep it. No, don't keep it.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was, I think, most people's reaction.
yeah.
Making amends is also a big part of Cheryl's recovery, and she has to own her own mistakes. Wanda, can you talk about the decisions you made as an actor, how to respond to Keith as he confronted Cheryl about her own shortcomings?
Um, I think it was like she didn't feel like that that she didn't deserve it. I put it that
Right.
way. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
like everything he said, she just had to accept and like, you know what? There I have no defense and I don't have any comeback and I'm not gonna make any excuses for it. You know, I think in our nature it's hard to be, accountable and just say, yeah, I did that. Because I know deep down we're always thinking, well, it's because of this is why I did that. There's always an excuse, but I think that was a moment where she just had to say, nope, there's no excuses. Let him have his piece. Let him say what he needs to say,
It to
and
me,
for her to try to absorb it.
yeah, to me, it's interesting, and I think it's well done in the film that Cheryl's recovery isn't shown as just simple, straightforward process.
Mhm. Right.
How
Right.
intentional was this on your part, and how did it show how others are affected directly by her actions?
Well, it was very intentional. I spoke to several people who are sober, who
Hmm.
are in recovery, who are alcoholics, but who've been sober for 20 years and still go to AA meetings and still are present and there for other people who are maybe sort of newer to sobriety. And so what is true is that, life happens, things happen, things that are beyond our control. And so when someone who is sober suddenly finds themselves in a place that has them slip, that is the worst. What I learned from my research was that that is the worst possible feeling
Mm.
someone can have. Just the slipping, is a betrayal to themselves. And so it was important to me that in the storytelling that I stay true to what's to a lot of people's experience, you know, and uh, and I think it really hit home for a lot of people as a result.
We're talking to actor Wanda Sykes and director Tamika Miller. Their new film Undercard enters theaters this Friday, February 27th. Okay, I want to talk about acting and directing. Wanda, tell me something that Tamika did as a director that helped you on the set every day.
Ooh, well, I'll just say before we even got to set, I had shows in I think it was Palm Desert,
Hmm.
and Tamika was like, I'm gonna come to the show, but I also want you to we're gonna have rehearsals. And she brought in Bentley Green, who plays Keith, and we just like did like little workshops. She just got us in a room together, and we did these exercises and not even bothering with the script much. um just how we move, together, how we interact, and I thought that was like the most helpful thing that she could have done, because leaving that those 2 days that we worked together, uh, we all had a sense of, okay, this is going to be good. Like we can get this done. And then on set every day, she always checks in. She checks
Hmm.
in. She let us know what's going on, and how we're feeling. Uh, because when she says, okay, we got it, we have to trust that it's good and she's happy, because as actors we're always like, maybe we should try it again, or are you sure? But she was so confident, and like, with what we were doing, and what she wanted, that it just helped move the process along, and helped us, like, with no, not having doubt.
Tamika, every director I've ever talked to has said being a director means making tough choices. You have to constantly make choices. That's what you do all day long. What was a tough choice you had to make on this film?
Well, I mean, the process of making a film, an independent film is, I think as Wanda said earlier, it's like we're moving, right? There's no 10 takes. As a director though, historically, I am the kind of director, if I got it, I got it. I don't need to do too many takes. And there are times when, my actor might want to try it again. And that's fine. That's fine. Well, let's do another take, but if I know I have it, then I'm going to move on. And for me, that's about moving the set along, you know, and just sort of keeping the momentum of our day. We had a lot to shoot and cover in making this film. And it was important to me that we were able to move quickly at times, but also I wanted my actors to feel that they were safe and that I had their back. And my hat's off to Wanda. Yes, she's number one on the call sheet, and which also means Wanda is in every other scene. She is working nonstop, long days, and Wanda showed up incredibly day after day after day. And it was such an honor to work with her, and I would do it any day of the week. Just such a pleasure to work with. And Wanda's very, easy, and really trusted the process, trust me. And that's all a director can ever hope for.
That's what they called me in high school too, by the way.
What, easy?
Easy. Well, this answers my next question.
Okay.
Wanda, it's your dramatic debut. Would you do it again? Do you think you'll do it again?
Yeah, of course. The right project comes along and, it speaks to me, of course.
And comedy still in the picture, please?
Oh, comedy is always here. That's number one for me.
Thank the dear Lord. The name of the film is Undercard, which enters theaters this Friday, February 27th. My guests have been actor Wanda Sykes and director Tamika Miller. Congratulations on your film.
Thank you.
Thank you.